Good evening.
Good evening.
We are here, and once again, it is our great pleasure to be in your reality. So here it is, just a few weeks from spring. We are gathered at the famous Dancing Moon for a class, Moon Musings number 121. It is 3 of March. In the year 2016, a year that adds up to number 9. So everyone is now on the page of understanding a year that adds to 9 is a year of endings, of completions, of many things being tied up, so that, of course, another cycle can begin. But we are here, as we always are, to help you elevate your perspectives of reality, to deepen your insight, to fortify your courage and your understanding of how to operate your personal biological computer. That is you, the being that you believe that you are, is a biological computer. It is the vehicle that you occupy here. And it is our intention to provide you with another 7-star evening. We are the Pleiadians, and we are known to come from the 7 stars, the Pleiads. And if you were to dash out now, you could get a quick glimpse of us. But soon we will be fading into the night sky, because the sun will soon be moving from Pisces to Aries to Taurus, and we will be in the daylight hours. But nonetheless, Earth is also known as number 7, according to the Anunnaki counting. And in another slippery 7 there, it is said that sometimes the Anus with their planet Nibiru, also called Chernobyl, Wormwood, the planet of the crossing, Marduk, 12th planet, 10th planet, on and on and on. They have a phalanx of 7 moons, so they sometimes go by the number 7 as well. So, friends, this is a year, 2016, of sorting through the confusion. Now, certainly, as our vehicle was pointing out, you have purposeful psychological warfare, psyops, this kind of thing. It's been intensifying for the last 5 years to confuse people and to distract each and every one of you from your growing power to create your reality. You are beings of spirit who come to earth to experiment, to learn, to advance the soul, and to play, let's say, games in reality. One of the preoccupations of the awakened souls today is to enhance your experience, to live safely, to live with health, to live with vitality, and to demonstrate this to others, not as some wacky, far-out, intercosmic discipline, but as a basis of how things operate here. Thought is energy. Words are energy. And they condition the space that is active, friendly, and responsive in general. Then you get interference from, of course, the electronics. And the electronics are mostly provided to your world by ETs who can jump in people's heads. You are vehicles. You are telepathically connected. You exist multidimensionally. And you are interactive, not only with yourself and your other selves across the lines of time, but beings of the air, so to speak, that you cannot detect or see, can utilize humankind to carry out tasks, to invent things, to carry forth messages, to go to war. You get the picture. And it has been reported throughout various forms of literature that there are cyclical patterns that repeat themselves. Of course, you all know that once a year you have a birthday. That is a cyclical pattern. The sun moves around the zodiac and it comes back to the exact degree of where it was when you were born. But cycles run large and small. Small cycle is the moon cycle. Every 29 days, the moon cycle repeats itself. There are cycles that are called yugas. It's from the East Indian culture, where these cycles last millions of years. Who makes up this counting? Who lives long enough to care? Yes. Well, the answers are coming to the forefront in today's world. We said almost 30 years ago that you are living in a time of accelerated energy, and that more and more people will come onto the planet because their souls have an opportunity to figure things out and to break out of the quarantine, the control, and the limitations that have kept the gene pool and the souls of human rather confused for a long time. So all over the world now, people of every rank of background, religion, ethnicity, culture, belief system, race, you're seeded everywhere. And yet just because you are seeded to awaken and question the limitations of authority does not mean that the journey is easy. And this year, this particular year, 2016, is a year characterized by purposeful confusion. So not only do you have politicos and authorities and controllers and gods and spirits confusing people, but the astrology calls for it. It says, aha, Neptune, the one that tests you to the ultimate, and Saturn, karma, big tester. And traditionally, they can wreak havoc, not only in people's minds and belief systems, but also financially. So these are some important considerations. As we've suggested before, anything worthwhile usually takes a bit of work to achieve it. And so this is a year to test each and every one of you on your abilities to remember to be grounded and to use the mind. I am grounded here in this now, with a grounding cord connecting me. I am safe, secure. My grounding cord goes down to the earth. I triple up my aura, up. I am protected, I am guided, I wear a cloak of protection. And that as I proceed forward, I am safe, in the right place at the right time, with everything working out more than fine. That's only the beginning. These are conditions, and they can be fun to say, but you are going to be tested this year. Each of you on the path, to quickly call on your mind to throw up a picture or to be able to say the words, it'll work out, it'll all be fine. Remember that. And then as you learn how to use your energies, Saturn brings you rewards. So if you perform well this year, which we fully expect you will because you have the instructions, it's a matter of remembering to apply them and not getting swept up with others who create chaos rather than clarity. But if you are able to demonstrate that you can use your mind, then the rewards will grow greater and greater. That is why the spiritual path can be worthwhile. The advancements, the rewards, the ability to rise above the fear and chaos and to be able to feel safe and okay This is a victory in the body. Remember that. All right, Moon Musings number 121. Let's have a super dynamic evening with some good laughs, a few good and bad jokes, perhaps. Everyone, we invite you to relax and to take in the energy that we are going to charge you up with. 5 o'clock in the morning, you may be saying, "Peace, peace, you gave us too much. I'm still tossing and turning. I can't fall asleep." If that happens, then remember, turn the faucet off. You have control of your being. All right, let's open it up with some good info. Who would like to begin the evening's discussion, please?
This is Alex.
Alex, welcome. How's your dream state going there?
Very well, thank you.
Did you were you able to apply some of the suggestions?
I did.
Excellent. What's your question this evening?
10 years ago, when I started my awakening process, I managed to, with the New Age information that I was facing, I managed to blend my beliefs with what I was encountering with, in terms of the way that I was praying and giving thanks through Jesus, or Jesus the Christ energy, and Mother Mary.
So you came from a deep Christian belief system?
Not at all. No, I was brought up Catholic, but I really wasn't a practicing one. But the area where I was brought up, it was a melting pot of Native American, African American, and a deeply superstitious kind of religion somehow. And lately I am drifting away of that, because I'm feeling it's a childlike mind. I am giving away my power with those that process of praying and giving thanks. I don't feel like I belong there anymore. And
this is just you are coming to these conclusions on your own?
On my own, yes, but it's been 10 years.
And we would say that for many people, that when they encounter larger ideas, their former beliefs often get put on a shelf for a while and re-examined. This is normal, natural, healthy. Or someone may have already thrown out their beliefs by seeing holes in various religious stories or conflicts in them, and then be a bit beliefless for a while until they find the metaphysical understanding of existence. Metaphysical meaning above and beyond just the physical plane.
Yes. My question right now is, how do I develop? I know it will come to me eventually, but maybe you can give me a shorthand. How do I develop that process of giving thanks, and now that I don't have that image of the Christ or the Mother Mary?
That's a very good question, and many people in the early years when we first began to come in and speak, of course the religious issue will always be the biggest stumbling block for many people. The native people, you mentioned native people, they tend to have, at least some of them, a more all-inclusive idea, and they call it Great Spirit.
Yes.
From the Seth material, which our vehicle was mentioning was part of her background, Seth, channeled through Jane Roberts starting in the mid-1960s, he referred to this intelligence that is everywhere as a prime creator, or all that is. And remember, pagans had their own beliefs about beings. In the old world, the Romans had different gods, the Greeks had different gods, the Egyptians had different gods. This is the history of the planet. So Christianity actually sprang out of roots in Egypt.
Okay.
Yes. So if you start to track all of your world religions, you will find that at the source would be the Anunnaki, those who from heaven to earth came. And over their many hundreds of thousands of years of managing humankind, they found ways to help you develop. That would be a kind way of saying it, but they also had methodologies of managing you. And one of the big contentions between the Anunnaki is which one of them is the premier god. And of course, this has created all the problems on the planet, and this has nothing to do with all that is prime creator or great spirit. These terms imply, very correctly, an awakened intelligence that is part of a field of existence that is everywhere. You are that field. That field is out beyond Pluto. That field is. And what is in that field are the creations of a being, an idea called prime creator. And this prime creator is in all of its creations and encouraging its creations to explore and grow. When it is you, you can walk out tonight to your car and you say, what a magnificent world. I am so grateful for the intelligence that has created this. And no Anunnaki created the world. The Anunnaki run your world as if it is their colony, no different than the Roman Empire or Alexander's empire. All right, we'll come back to you, Alex. Okay. We just gave you a lot to think about. And you are reaching a new step of evolution. What sign are you, please?
Taurus.
Taurus. All right, this is good. This is good. Mars, we believe tomorrow, is moving into the sign of Sagittarius. So Mars right now, for the last few months, has been in the sign of Scorpio. Charging up any of you Scorpios out there. It's also been opposite Taurus. Taurus is opposite Scorpio. And now as it goes into Sagittarius, Mars, forward movement, Sagittarius, the bigger picture. It's ready to unfold. This is good news. Who else has good questions?
This is David.
David, welcome.
This kind of jumps off what Alex was talking about. And the Anunnaki...
and David is an Aquarian, by the way. Let's play astrology tonight a little bit. When you say your name, each of you say your sign. This will give you a little bit of astro understanding. Go ahead, Mr. Aquarian.
Well, my question is, I'm assuming there was a race of humanoids on Earth that was created by Prime Creator. The Anunnaki came here and then started tinkering with it. So that would be, I'm assuming they didn't just create us from a test tube, that we had been here created by Prime.
The Anus claim that they were frustrated and that their workers became exhausted after working in the mines for a few 100,000 years. The same workers. You with us?
Mm-hmm.
Each of you imagine, what would that be like to work a few 100,000 years in the mines of Africa, where today the black people are still trapped working in the mines? And how many people all over the planet, makes no difference of ethnicity, do the hardest, dirtiest work, go down into the bowels of earth to mine. This is what the Anunnaki came to Earth for. They claim, David, that after 200,000 years of frustration and a mutiny by their own people, that they came up with the heretical idea. Remember, heretic means to choose, but heretic in today's world means you are a troublemaker. And so they came up with the idea to build a worker. At least this is what they say in the records, and they took a hominid, they say, a sort of monkey, part human creature, this is their story, that ran the plains of Africa, and they mixed in the laboratory their DNA with the hominid. And it took them 50,000 years, according to the story, until they could get a spirit to occupy the hominid and make it work. And their first batches were clones, many clones. Long process. Now, is this the truth? The Anunnakis arrived here, according to their story, 445,000 years ago in search of gold. They have come back now for more gold. China, India, Russia, not the USA, but those three big players all have tons and tons of gold. The space shuttle was delivering payloads of gold for years into space. What were they doing that for? Spin your beanies. Wake up. So, David, there were and have been humanoid, advanced, intelligent humans on Earth dating back to millions and even billions of years. Artifacts have been found in undisturbed rock strata. So the Anunnaki, let's say, when they came, we'll answer the question with this. 445,000 years ago, they returned after a long period of time following a great nuclear war on Earth. And this is what your scientifics are now discovering about Mars. It has many buildings on it still, as does the Moon, and that Mars lost its vibrancy, let us say, because of nuclear war that happened in your vicinity of the cosmos. David?
Just one other question. I'm assuming, I'm jumping here, that Prime Creator created the Anunnaki. They created the Pleiadians. They created everything. And my question is...
How do you conceive this Prime Creator then?
I can't.
Then your assumptions are too naive.
Okay.
Because you see, if you cannot conceive of it, then you are like a 5-year-old saying, well, it must be this, this, and this. And of course it never is from the 5-year-old's perspective. It's not like Prime Creator is some big man sitting in some place decreeing things. This force is everywhere, and it has intelligence. And this intelligence can coalesce. And it can then, let's say, magnetize various forms of consciousness. And consciousness can exist in physical and non-physical, in unlimited number of dimensions. And we can say that beings that you would consider to be physical, creatures, Japanese beetles, salamanders, humans, raccoons, possums, cobras, you name it. Did they all just come out of the air? They're seeded here. And they were brought to life purposely. And life does not simply get charged up by molecules and electricity and then slowly tadpoles turn into whales. Wow, that would be quite a feat, wouldn't it? The whole idea of evolution is ridiculous in terms of what you have been taught. Earth is a living library. Life forms are brought here. And life forms are continuously inserted into the living library. This is why your scientists can say, look, we've discovered a new species. We've discovered this. We've discovered this. You are constantly being fed new life forms because another level, Earth is like a big zoo. Not that you are trapped in behind walls and cages. It is a place to generate and store life. And it is a miraculous place for the animals, for the humans, and for all creatures. And what you have been subjected to is a cosmic drama over the last 500,000 years that is coming to a big head. It's a massive soap opera. We'll leave it at that. Who else has a question?
Please, this is Tubbs.
Who is it?
Tubbs. Yeah, Tubbs.
Tub?
Yeah.
T-U-B?
Yeah.
All right, Tub, welcome.
All right. Hey.
What's your question?
I'm going to have to feed off of the gentleman before me, and then in order to play the game, like you said, the zodiac signs, I'm going to have to. Is there a?
What sign are you?
I'm a Cancer, but then that goes my question into that. I've heard there's a 13 sign astrology. So
yes, and astrology could be divided, if you wanted to, into 24 signs. It's simply a map, Tub, of the heavens, that the Anunnaki are those who studied it. It was Enki, one of the two brothers, Enlil Enki. And Enki spent time on the moon and mapped this area of the cosmos. So if you were to go, if you included the 13th sign, it is called Ophiuchus or Ophiuchus. It is a serpent holder, and it would be technically between Sagittarius and Scorpio. Not to affect you. You are still a true Cancer. What else do you want to know, Tub?
Okay. Well, as like I said, from the gentleman before me, so if I'm not correct, the P's are here to help us through our transition.
We are here to help you during a time of tremendous difficulty, and the difficulty you are going through, because we are in the future from you, it eventually affects us. So our story is we have come back in time to sort of redo our time and redo yours as well.
So my question was, so who helps y'all through your transition?
You do.
Okay.
You do, because what you do has a large impact upon we in the Pleiades, and we can say to you that these Anunnaki controllers, this large family of cosmic colonizers and empire builders, they have gone into many areas in your local zodiac, your local solar system. They have come into the Pleiades. They run the belt of Orion. They run the Sirians. They have colonies everywhere. Understand this. And part of their problem is that they want to have rulership and adoration and worship, and let's say that many forms of consciousness are outgrowing this. My intention to expand my consciousness rather than asking gods to expand it for me. This, of course, is not what the gods want for humans to wake up. And as we've been pointing out, many portions of the Anunnaki Empire are awakening and are overthrowing the Anus, and they are not happy about this. What else, Tub?
That was it. Thank you.
All right.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, and you are?
I'm Monty, and I'm a Gemini.
Monty?
Yes.
A Gemini, all right. So just let's back up a minute. Cancer is a water sign, very sensitive. The USA is a Cancer country. We had Aquarius with David, mental, air. Alex was earth, Taurus, stable, Taurus, material. And here we have Monty, who is Gemini. Yes?
Yes.
Air sign. And who else is a Gemini that you learned tonight?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. All right. Very good. Very good. Geminis think quickly. They have two sides to them. So show us one of your sides, Monty.
I'm very inquisitive, as Geminis are.
Yes, they are.
I'm going on the internet, and I'm going through. I'm finding that there are many individuals right now.
A little louder, please.
There are many people who are channeling their future selves, so that you can find them on the internet. In fact, I found a woman last week who says she's channeling the Prime Creator, and someone who's channeling be his future self from Sirius. There are so many, it seems to be growing. And I just wondered, are we mutating more quickly? Are we awakening more quickly? How would you describe what's going on?
We would say more and more people are being deceived by energies that are wanting to confuse humankind. If you are getting information, does it improve your life? And why are you putting it online? And we would say to you to be suspicious of anything that's online. And especially anything involved with channeling, New Age, and all the stuff that's out there. You are going to have discernment to the highest degree. And then reading all this stuff and hearing about this, how does it improve your life? What you are talking about, it appears energetically to be worthless. What you want to do is to enhance your own life. And so sitting in front of a computer is not going to enhance your life. It's going to fry your aura, your clarity. So we're going to move on, because we are not going to answer internet questions. All right?
Thank you.
This is for everybody, and we are going to make it a new rule from now on. If it's online, forget it. We are not going to answer it, because it's foolishness. And you are under psychological warfare. And so many people cannot tell the difference. And why would you want to look at this stuff? Go cook a good meal. Go plant a garden. Go for a walk and watch the squirrels, and let your inner net awaken. When your inner net awakens, you don't need the internet. Who has a question of a reasonable, grounded, non-internet nature? And no flat worlds either.
This is David again.
Yes, David.
Comments on Shrillery and Trump. Is Trump doing this so that now you're hearing lots of people in the Republican Party saying, if he gets it, we'll vote for Hillary? Is this ultimately everybody's on? I mean, what the heck is going on here? Is he part of the game? Is he aware of it?
He's in and he's not in. Do you understand?
Yes.
He's been in because of the money that he's made and the lifestyle he's lived. But he's not an insider. And he's not privy to the government buzz and insider shenanigans. This is why he's willing to put himself on the line about 9/11 and vaccinations and UFOs and other things. He's, to some extent, he's Mr. Smarty Pants. And it doesn't look as if anyone is going to let him go the whole round. He's too dangerous. And the attacks are coming from every direction. They even trotted out Mitt Romney recently, and Mitt was, not so long ago, thrilled to have Donald's support. And so how did they twist Mitt's arm all of a sudden? And what did they do to Rubio? He suddenly completely changed course. Donald Trump is seen as completely, totally out of control. And if you look at his chart, he's a Gemini with Uranus conjunct the Sun. There's no controlling this man. No, none. Uranus conjunct the Sun, Uranus conjunct anything means highly unpredictable. And he's got a prominent position. Shrillery, as we've termed her, has an exceptionally unpleasant voice, an exceptionally disingenuous, that means fake and phony, demeanor. But if you haven't figured it out by now, you people have no choice in your political situation. in the final days, you will be voting for who insiders want you to vote for. And if they have to take out Donald by scandal, they'll do it. The reason that they're going to get everyone to rally around Hillary is because she will carry out an Anunnaki one world order, Goldman Sachs, Council on Foreign Relations, Bilderberger, you name it, agenda. And that agenda is to destroy the power of the people of the USA, while the Orwellian double talk says the exact opposite. And here's a little tidbit our vehicle heard on the radio the other day. It was sort of a throwaway, but it was Rush Limbaugh talking about Donald, and the Trumpster, he calls him. And then he gave a throwaway, and he said, or the trumpet, as some are calling him. Well, you know who named Donald the Trumpet?
You.
We raise our hand.
Guilty.
Guilty. That was a bit of an interesting tidbit. Perhaps someone whispered in his ear, that's another name, the trumpet. David, confusing times, but we will say this, that in the end, the globalist will trot out whoever it is they need to make sure that you have a choice between players. Remember when it was Kerry and George Bush? Two white guys from the Northeast, both members of the secret Skull and Bones Brotherhood? Mm-hmm. What choice was there? Do you understand? You have no choices. This is why we are seeing that it could be pretty wild in this country. People are willing to go a little asleep, but not a big asleep. And when their pocketbooks are empty, they're not willing to go back to sleep. And we have been suggesting that you are in the middle now of worldwide collapse in terms of money. And it is Japan that's toasted, Brazil is toasted, Germany, the euro, the US dollar, Russia, the ruble is gone, Saudi is bankrupt. These are big places. So it doesn't look so good. And of course the election and all the hoopla are creating massive distractions. And no one is mentioning the dire straits of the finances. In the last few weeks, Deutsche Bank, this is one of the premier banks of Europe, since the 1st of January, in 2 months, they've lost over 1/3 of their value. Just next door, Swiss Bank, Switzerland, solid like the mountains. They lost 40% of the value of Swiss Bank. Anyone with their mind halfway screwed on in the U.S. would say, people, what's going on? You are losing trillions every day of global wealth, and then people are focused on Donald Trump, who says, what does he say? We are going to be like third graders, bigger, better, stronger. It's worse than Facebook with fifth grade behavior. I like you, I don't like you. That's 5th grade. That's 5th grade. Kids with the bag of candy. You are becoming, as a people, you are dumbed down. So that you use the internet, you use all these devices, and you can't think anymore. This is what's happened to a large majority of people. They have become, with all capital letters, stupid. Get a beehive. Do something real. You don't need to know about people going to Sirius. You need to get grounded and get real in your lives. As we said, if you don't know what to do, cook good food. Do something that makes a difference. Who has a question?
No, this is Roger.
Roger, loud and clear, welcome.
Capricorn.
Capricorn, yes.
Comment. And
Earth sign, earth sign.
Comment and a question.
Yes.
The comment is I read a headline that 37% of the national debt is student loans.
Yes, it is well over $1 trillion now. And as you know what they did to the student loans.
And they made it so that you can't
Bankruptcy.
Bankrupt, yes.
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 And Raj, you know that the foolishness that we are speaking of today has not only, well, let's say that parents have signed, grandparents have signed, and encouraged their children to get in debt $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. It says to us they have no concept of money. Do you know what it is to pay back $100,000 or $200,000 mortgage? You sign up for life. People have completely lost their connection to what's real and what's important. And this whole student loan thing of get kids to go to school and get degrees in this study and that study and this study, and they can't get jobs. There's no jobs for them. So this is all the ruination of your culture. These are what we call the final days. The final days where there's still food in the grocery store, where you still can drive around, and where you still have a little bit of an opportunity to think and improve your lives. What's your question, Raj?
The question has to do with whether the Anunnaki themselves are going to go down with the ship, or out in the future, are they still going to be in quote, power of, over the humans?
We see them going down, Raj. We see them going down. That is the entropy that you are feeling, is they are also subjected to all of this confusion. They are reaching, with their methodologies, their final days.
Right, that's what I think.
Yes, yes. And in terms of this great opening, or we would call it dumping, onto the human domain, there's all manner of non-physical beings, some various names for them, and origins and where they come from, but the non-physical realms are occupied by deceivers, great deceivers. And too many people are not in their body, they're not grounded, they open themselves up, an entity comes in, they get information, and they're flattered, and they believe what they are told. And the level of disinformation from the spirit realm is probably, if there's 100,000 messages, one might be correct. So all these, quote, psychic people waking up, if you were to look in their lives, really look to see how centered, responsible, understanding, and grounded they are. Most of them have entity possession, and they're more than happy because it makes them feel for a little while important. Important. And of course, everything is a reality show today, and everyone wants to be outrageous, to stand out, to be important. But we'll say this. Not only is 2016 a year of reckoning, a year of completion, everything you do in this lifetime is going to steer your soul for a long time to come. And so stupid actions, stupid interpretations, and stupid decisions are not just for this lifetime. You're cooking your goose, as it says, and you'll be eating off of that goose for many, many lifetimes. So get grounded, get real. and start knocking things away and saying what's really important. What's important is to be responsible, to take responsibility for your creations, to make good decisions, to clear out the detritus and the dead wood of people and situations that you no longer need, and to be able to pass the test of fact from fiction. What's real and what's not. This is it. And are you wasting your time with nonsense? Anything else, Roger?
If I may, there, the flagship plan that I see, at least the Anunnaki are using, is called Agenda 21. They revised the wording now to agenda for the, anyway, 2030 is the key number. Since they missed their goals, they redesigned the plan. And I found evidence all through all the counties, all the planning boards, the people. It's
everywhere.
Insidious.
Yes, it's ubiquitous, Roger. It is just seeped in because people don't think, and they do what they're told, and they want to be important.
Well, there's blowback occurring because some of the people are rejecting ICLEI, the planning group. In other words, you sign on, a town signs on to ICLEI. ICLEI is the planning group for Agenda 21, and they recommend what the planning choices are made. And the people, like in Pittsburgh, I heard that they're trying to back out of their contract with ICLEI to go on their own. They don't like the effect of the grab. And this started in 2011 is when they signed on to think. And so... What
do you think's going on recently in Oregon?
Well, of course, that is, the BLM is certainly part of grabbing the land to... Anyway, what I was getting to with all that, driving over here, I started laughing. I thought, my gosh, the whole thing, their power is that they are claiming that what we're doing is unsustainable. And so they're wanting to set their agenda to make it sustainable, and it don't. I mean, darn, you Anunnaki are unsustainable. All of their plans is really unsustainable.
Yes, and the big challenge is that people live such a short amount of time, and you are bombarded today with supreme distractions, whether it is junk on the internet, the Super Bowl, elections. It doesn't make any difference. All of this distracts you from the peace and quality of life. Now, around 2022, Pluto in Capricorn is going to touch off a Pluto return for the USA. And so you are, no matter what, you are in pre-revolutionary times. And you are re-stimulating what was going on 250 years ago by some astrology. And the issues, of course, have become clearer, more complex, and there's lots of smart people on the planet, but the majority are not very bright. The majority fall for the loudest cheering, the most far-out stuff. It's not practical. And of course, people are delusional. If it sounds great, then they won't. If they don't want to plow the field and really do the hard work. The world is going to go, as we've said, these are final days for stability. And this year, after this year, and even further on in the year, things could really, really blow. Financially, sickness-wise, you have this push of the Zika virus, and now it is frightening everyone, and of course it's going to be population control. Where is it springing out of? An area of the world, of the southern hemisphere, that tends to reproduce very, very quickly without a lot of thought. In other words, a lot of poverty, a lot of sex. These is lots of agendas coming down to stop humans. The poor people are going to hit very, very hard. And then so are those who are the hard workers. All of the people who for the last 30 years have worked really hard, towed the line, had their money invested in pensions. Poof. Poof. And even Donald, your great liberator, isn't mentioning a word about the economic turmoil going on. If you had a real candidate, they would be shouting this, the economic turmoil, from every time they got the stage, and not one of them is saying a word. All right? That'll give you an idea of who's who and what's what. Anything else, Roger?
No, that's good, thanks.
But it's going to be interesting to see how the Anus are going to deal with all this confusion. And it looks to us as if they are going to pull some big cards to frighten humankind and to delude them into some kind of a savior scenario or visitors from here, there, and everywhere. All right, who has a question?
I have a question.
And you are?
I'm Joe. I'm an Aquarian.
Joe, and you are an Aquarian. All right, so you are an air sign. You are a thinker. What's your question?
Well, my background, I was an economist by education, managed money for 32 years.
All right, so...
And
in what way did you manage it? Investing?
I have my own investment advisory firm.
So were you big in insurance, stocks, metals?
Mostly stocks.
Oh, right, mostly stocks.
But I sold that business 5 years ago. And
oh, well, that was fortuitous.
Yes, it was. But I'm going through this change right now where and I'll make it applicable to everybody here, but I'm converting into more of a financial coach and trying to look at helping people dealing with the psychology of money and what's coming forward.
Perfect.
And
let's make one tweaking. You said you are trying.
Oh, I'm not. I'm doing it. I'm not
Good.
trying it.
All right.
I'm actually doing it.
Perfect correction, because trying is an impotent word. It is, you can say bad words in this room, but not trying.
I preach that.
Yes. Trying implies failure. You are wanting or you are doing. So you are in the game, and you are actually... America is dumb about money. People don't understand money. They don't understand math. Forget math. They don't understand arithmetic. But if you were brought up in Common Core, you wouldn't understand it either. Please continue, Joe.
But I am pretty enlightened about the illusions that are being put forth about us being on better economic footing than we truly are.
So you can see through it.
I see through it. I see the bank failures coming. I see.
Look at the layoffs that are happening.
Yeah, the layoffs. I mean, just the drop in oil prices is going to probably bankrupt a third of the banks in this country over the next couple of years.
And it's going to bankrupt a third of the world economies, at least, if not half.
Yes. And it's frustrating because I'm at this point in my life where I'm really trying. I am doing in communicating with people. My efforts are to prepare them for this coming forward, and I met with mostly people that are still captured in this illusion that the old rules still apply, and there's this massive shift that is, to me, it's as clear as the sun that is going to rise tomorrow. And in an effort to try to prepare people for these times and to get them to be vigilant, sometimes I feel like I'm, ringing a gong and nobody's paying attention to me, and it's coming from a really good place. And I guess, that's my frustration. But as far as how we can be vigilant with all of these changes, particularly the financial ones that are coming forward. Do you have advice for how we can prepare for what's coming?
Joe, you have a very good heart. And it's very evident your sincerity and your understanding comes through loud and clear. You know, in the old books that speak of the time of the flood and the ridicule that Noah, from the Christian point of view, he is called Noah. He's also called Ziasudra, Utnapishnam. He has a number of names, but he is a legitimate character. And it was said he was a son of the Anunnaki. He was Enki's son, and this is why the Anunnaki knew the floods were coming. And the Bible says that God was angry about the creations and wanted to wipe out the Nephilim, the giants, all of this. And so he instructed Noah to build an ark. And even some of the literature says that it took Noah 120 years to build the ark. And all around him, the people ridiculed him. And even as things began to come down, they ridiculed him, and they were partying up until the final moments. And even in the scriptures, the literature, it warns that in the days of the gods, it was the people denied what was happening just as Noah was closing the doors to the ark, and that it would come around again in the days of man. You are watching the same thing again. You are not going to be inundated by the polar caps slipping, waters melting. You are in these kinds of days where humans are being tested. And look at your culture. Look at young children. Do you know what they are doing? They're sending teenagers, 11, 12, 13. They are sending nude, N-O-O-D, that's how they spell it, pictures of one another. And they are being bullied because they all have these Anunnaki devices. And these devices, you call them cell phones. But they are tracking devices, and they are devices of self-destruction. So tell us, any of you, how you would feel if you knew your 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old was demanding nude pictures of someone else, or that your child was sending these nude pictures because they felt so confused and pressured they felt they had to do it in order to be hot, cool, and popular. Friends, this is horrible parenting and horrible behavior on the children. Sorry if we are politically incorrect. But both of these indicate the end in all capital letters of any future for your society. It's going nowhere. So, Joe, you are right to be frustrated, and we are going to ask you to do some energy work and to start calling in the higher forces and say, rather than speaking to those who can't get it, because remember, the Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi is destroying people's thinking processes. The more you use a cell phone, the more you carry a cell phone, the more time you spend in front of the computer, dear friends, you are losing your smarts. You are losing your clarity of mind. And how many people do you know that do not do this? Very few, yes? So do you see why you cannot get through to them? Because people are not operating with logic today. They are operating in emotional crisis or some manner of sensational diversions that mean nothing. It's difficult to answer some of these questions folks. Ask for the right people to be called to you, but to understand you are not going to talk people into common sense in a time when they are supremely confused. Those who come to you and want to know, they are the ones that you will have great victory with. But your paper money is going to be worth nothing soon. Anything else, Joe?
That was good, thank you.
Good. Anyone want some help? Go see Joe. Who has a question?
Peace, this is Dorsey.
Dorsey.
I know you said this Wi-Fi, weed fries killing everybody, and I know in your
Slowly.
Okay, and I know that in your CDs before you mentioned supreme nervines like Gold Cola and some other things you mentioned, and I was just wondering if you could just give like maybe a quick synopsis. What we need to do, maybe tell our loved ones and family and friends, and for ourselves, what we can do to just, I guess, help us out against all this.
You need to calm it down and have more nights like the 50s. And even if a family says we are going to have a 50s nights once a month or once a week, and you cook a good supper, and you find things to do, you play a game, you play instruments, you may do something corny like sing songs, but understand, folks, that you are ruining your nervous systems. This is why Dorsey is mentioning nervines. Now, Gutta Cola, it is an herb. It is prized in the Ayurvedic system. Ayurvedic coming out of India. Learning Ayurvedic is about balancing the body. A Gutta Cola, you can grow it here. It looks a little bit like clover, almost. You can grow it as a ground cover. You can certainly buy it. But there are other substances you can take to boost the nervous system. You see, it is through the nervous system that data flows. And the Wi-Fi is hijacking this nervous system by short-circuiting it with data that conflicts itself. It is very Orwellian. Black is white, white is black. And so the mind can't comprehend it, the nervous system gets jammed up. And then you also need to have great rest. We would imagine that many of you are noticing you need an extra hour of sleep, especially in the winter season. You're being bombarded by confusion, and you're not allowing enough rest time. The mind, the brain, when you are sleeping, if you sleep in a proper environment with plants in the room producing oxygen, quiet, no lights, nothing digital, no electronics, and a nice sheets and comforter and all this, you refresh yourself. And the brain takes a shower. But too many people don't even make the bed, let alone put a nice set of sheets on it. And people have become slobs, and they live like pigs. It's the truth. We're going to ask each of you, in your mind, imagine you are taking us into your bedroom. What grade would we give you on your bedroom? An A+ or an F? So that right away, how you keep your bedroom will be a determining factor as to what you think you're worth in terms of stabilizing yourself. So rest is very, very important, probably one of the greatest important things right now. And again, the Wi-Fi is so subtle. It makes you sick in various ways. It weakens your clarity of mind and weakens your energy field. And not everyone is the same. Some people are stronger than others. So we are searching here to see what else. Dorsey, you know, it's good for a family to just Go for a walk, go to a park, be together, talk, just do natural things. Stop wanting to escape each other and fill up your lives with electronics. And make some rules about the phones, absolutely. Stop answering the phone all the time. You don't have to answer every time it rings. And stop texting. This is all, everything you do is being tracked. And who is tracking you?
Anunnaki.
Yes, but also the Anunnaki are using artificial intelligence, and we've suggested that this is one of the biggest threats you are going to deal with. The rise of the robots, the appearance of robots that you can't control, robots that right now, artificial intelligence that is scanning humankind every time you open one of these electronic devices. You are being studied. And you are accelerating the demise of the human race. We cannot say it more clearly than that. There's no one out there on the planet that is delivering the message we are delivering as consistently, as emphatically, and clearly as we are. And we are doing it because we see that with a large majority of the planet are engaging in suicidal behavior. That says that no one's looking forward to the future. Anything else, Dorsey?
No, that's it. Thank you.
What are you learning in the latest scoops in the newspapers? Some of your printouts there. What's the latest?
Something about the NASA spaceman back from the record year flight. I guess with this cosmonaut Russia, talking about it's a step toward Mars. And I know every time you hear something say Mars, that's a code for something.
Well, you know, the other day they were putting out that you could get to Mars in a few hours or a day and a half or something, and then they were saying that nearly 20,000 people, after the movie The Martian appeared in Hollywood, a triple amount of people applied for these astronaut positions. That just goes to show you that dancing pictures totally manipulate your reality. The people that are applying to be astronauts are not thinking. It just looks cool to them. It's part of mind control. All right, the beep of beat. We have about 5 minutes. Who that has not asked a question would like to ask a question?
Alan.
Alan, welcome.
Sagittarius, and I might be in that.
Louder, please.
I'm Sag, but I'm
You're Sag, all right, fire sign.
December 20th. I think that puts me on the cusp of Scorpio.
You are November 20th?
December 20th.
December 20th.
Yes.
So that means you would be Sag and close to Capricorn.
Oh, Capricorn.
But you are Sag. We read it in your energy field.
Okay.
You like to have a good time, yes?
Yes.
That's Sag. Sag is a party sign. It is, let's get to the bigger picture. Capricorn says, oh, no bigger picture. Work, 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 work. Go for it.
My question is, are viruses artificial intelligence?
Now, that's a very good question. Are viruses artificial intelligence? Technically, when you are speaking with us and we talk about artificial intelligence, we are speaking about biologically and machine co-opted, engineered realities. So in one way, in the typical artificial intelligence that people would project, a walking, talking Arnie type of person, it's different, but they certainly are engineered and introduced, especially in today's world, as experiments and mechanisms of control. Sometimes some viruses are made in Earth-based, human-run laboratories. But again, it is very easy for other dimensional beings to put ideas in the minds of politicos, military people, scientists, and the run-of-the-mill Mary and Joes. It is also possible, and has always been going on, that celestials, Anus in particular, will introduce various viruses into the living library, sometimes for experimentation, sometimes for study, and often to adjust the species, to implant something through a virus, and or to use virus for population control. What else, Alan?
I'm trying to digest it.
Well, we know that we always, when we give an answer there, it is bigger than what sometimes is expected. So you are on the money. What led you to ask that question?
You were using the term artificial intelligence, and in biology, the question has always remained unanswered.
Yes, where those viruses come from.
Where they came from, and they don't seem to fall into the definition of life.
Yes, yes. Now, you're a very good thinker, very, very good thinker. And if you go back over the answer, we are suggesting that yes, it can come from various sources. All right, anyone else? Oh, someone must have something to say.
Peace, this is David.
Yes,
I'm
David.
sorry. On the subject of artificial intelligence, I think maybe at the last channeling, you guys had mentioned robotics with organic, which kind of brings up the Terminator thing. Have they advanced to the point where they just came out with Boston Dynamics, just came out with a robot that they showed us the other day that you could knock it down, it was able to get up, it was able to walk down a snow-covered hill and not fall and move boxes. Have they got to the point where they have robotics that have organic, basically just like in the Terminator, that you or I could not tell the difference?
Yes, but they are used very selectively, and of course the ETs have been using their own robotics, confounding humans. Many of the early ET sightings and fear and confusion about grays and blues and all the different creatures, many of them were versions of artificial intelligence, part machine and part organic. Genetic engineering is returned in full force. And it was the Anunnaki, as we said earlier, starting with the worker, to build the worker man, to alleviate the Anunnaki workers. And of course the whole story of Atlantis on your planet would be an extension of the Anunnaki experimentation, Enki in particular. And he and his sister Ninmah conducted untold genetic experiments. Then, of course, everything was destroyed about 11,000 BC, 13,000 years ago, in the flood. As we said, Noah's flood. And in some scriptures it says, and all life was destroyed, except for Noah and his family. But Noah and his family, even so, were connected relatives of the Anunnaki. And one of the big secrets about Noah, someone asked earlier if the Anunnaki were reptilian. Well, one of the big things that Noah hid about himself was that he had the shiny skin, the scaly skin. And that was his shame and his victory. And all of the early gods were called L's, L relating to Enlil, and the L translates in many languages to the shiny ones, shining ones. These are all clues, people, that are going to appear in the immediacy of your now. And you are going to have a lot to sort through. If it sounds too far out, if it sounds too sensational, if it's on the internet and it's wasting your time, toss it out. Look to the quality of your own life. How prepared are you in terms of sustaining yourself in not only practical ends, but also with your intentions? Where is your focus? Where are your values? And what is really important? These are essential questions to answer because you will carry them over out of this time. And if you are frivolous, if you are wasting your time on nonsense, then you can trust that that is what you are getting out of this lifetime, and that's what you will seed into the next 1,000,000 or so years. Don't waste it, friends. This is rare, what you are experiencing. It is confusing. It is also an opportunity to vastly grow in intelligence and to enhance and uplift the human experiment and the human experience. He said, experiment and experience. Please use common sense. Value yourselves. Seek out love. Draw good health, abundance, vitality to your life, and know that these are extraordinarily challenging times in which to live. Get rid of everything that's wasting your life, wasting your time, and by all means, reduce as much as you can your internet tracking time and start to live, laugh, and love. Create the best. It's been our great pleasure. Good evening.
Thank you.